Hey everyone, my name is Suci Parayani and you can call me Suci. So yeah, today I just want to talk a little about what I've learned in my TEFL course. Honestly, before taking this course, I thought teaching English was just about grammar, vocabulary, and maybe giving students a bunch of exercise. But turns out it's way more than that. One of the first things we learned was the difference between ESL and EFL. At first, I was like, what, aren't they basically the same? But no, they're actually pretty different. Since we live in Indonesia, we teach English as foreign language or EFL. That means most students don't really use English outside the classroom. So, as a future teacher, it's kind of our job to make the classroom a place where students actually get to use English in a fun and meaningful way. Another thing we talked about was teacher competencies. And honestly, this one made me realize something. Being a good English teacher isn't just about speaking English fluently, it is all about being patient, understanding your student, keeping class engaging, and making everyone feel comfortable enough to speak up. I think that's just as important as knowing the language itself. Then we got into approaches, method, and procedure. I'm not gonna lie, at first these terms were kind confusing, but once everything was explained, it actually made sense. Basically, your approach is your overall belief about teaching. Your method is how you teach, and your procedure are the activities you do in the class. Once I understood that, lesson planning didn't seem as complicated anymore. We also learned about English as a lingua franca, and I thought that was pretty interesting. This day, English isn't only used to talk to native speakers. People from all over the world use English to communicate with each other. So, our goal as teachers isn't to make students sound exactly like native speaker. It's more about helping them communicate clearly and confidently. And honestly, my favorite part was learning all the different teaching methods. For example, there's the audiolingual method, which focuses on listening, repetition, and pronunciation practice. Then there's total physical response, or TPR, where students learn by moving around and responding physically. I think that's super fun, especially for younger learners. We also learn about the silent way. It sounds a little strange at first because the teachers actually talk less, but the idea is to encourage students to think and discover the language by themselves. Another one is community language learning, where students support each other and learn in a more relaxed environment without being afraid of making mistakes. Then there's Suggestipedia, which creates a calm and comfortable classroom atmosphere, sometimes even using music to help students feel less anxious while learning. And finally, the natural approach, which focuses more on meaningful communication than perfect grammar. Personally, I really like this method because it helps students build confidence first. Besides learning all those theories, we also had to design a teaching scenario that includes a 21st century learning skill, deep learning, and direct method, group work, and differentiated instruction. At first, it sounded like, wow, that's a lot. But while working on it, I realized that all these ideas actually connect with each other. Students today need more than just academic knowledge. They also need communication skill, teamwork, creativity, and critical thinking. Plus, every student learns differently, so it's important for teachers to adjust their teaching based on student needs. So, what did I take away from all of this? For me, the biggest lesson is that teaching English isn't about finding one perfect method, it's about knowing your student, being flexible, and creating a classroom where everyone feels safe, motivated, and confident enough to use English. Overall, I'm really happy I got the chance to learn all this topic. They've definitely changed the way I see teaching, and they also made me even more excited to become an English teacher someday. Anyway, that's pretty much everything I want to share. Thank you so much for listening, and take care, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.